Hello, it's Mr. Ripka, reading Neruda during Corona, and we are on poem LXIX, poem 69. That means because there are, as I've mentioned numerous times, there are 74 poems. We're on 69. We have 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74. Wow, 6 poems left, and then we have finished this work. And really, after today, 5. You can count them on one hand. All right, well, let's just go ahead and begin. How exciting. We have imagery of volcanoes. I think he's used this volcano imagery before, but he has a crater too. Volcanoes and craters, so imagery of cavities in a way. Stars and rivers and oceans. So he's coming back to his what I was calling elemental or natural imagery. That is imagery of nature and elements like water and fire. Very vivid volcanoes, though, right? And craters. These give these spark very vivid images. Let's see what he's saying about these in Spanish. Caen pensamientos de amor en los volcanes extinguidos. ¿Es un cráter una venganza o es un castigo de la tierra? ¿Con qué estrellas siguen hablando los ríos que no desembocan? All right, so we have 3 questions today. And then he gets into a little 5-question kick here. So like poem 70 has 5 questions, 71 has 5, 72 has 6 questions. Woo! Really getting questiony here. And then 73 has 5 questions, and the last one, poem 74, goes back to 6 questions. So you have a little 3-question break today, a little simple one, 3 questions to think about. And then, after this, you're going to have, essentially, lots of questions to think about. Let's go ahead and see what he says in English. He says, do thoughts of love, pensamientos de amor, thoughts of love. Do thoughts of love fall, caen, from cado, Latin, to fall, caen. So, and it starts with that verb, do they fall, caen. Pensamientos de amor. And then you get to the subject. Do they fall, these thoughts of love, in los volcanes? In volcanoes, into volcanoes. And then what kind? Extinguidos, extinguished, or extinct. So do thoughts of love fall into extinct volcanoes? It's good to remember that Neruda really is a love poet. Most of his poetry that became quite famous had to do with love. And so here he has questions about it. All right, so we had, that's the question for volcanoes. We're moving on to the crater. It says, is a crater, es un cráter, an act of vengeance, una venganza, or a punishment of the earth? A punishment of the earth. It's hard to see. Does that mean like the earth is the one doing the punishment? Kind of like the love of a mother. That means the mother's love. Is it that the earth is doing the punishment, or that the earth is being punished? It's hard to tell with that of the earth, whether it's what's called a subjective or objective genitive. It's hard to tell sometimes, so it can be interpreted both ways, especially because of the de la tierra. That's how it is in Spanish, of the earth. So here it is. The question is a crater an act of vengeance or a punishment of the earth? It says here in the Spanish, es un cráter una venganza. Is a crater a vengeance, an act of vengeance? Or is it a castigo, a castigation, punishing sort of castigating implies also a public punishing. Punishing can be done in private, but the connotation of the word castigate has to do with public. Let's move on. So we have two questions that have to do, as I said earlier, with cavities, extinct volcanoes, and craters. It's an interesting question. A crater. If it's an act of vengeance, I guess that would mean if you have a crater on the moon, is that an act of vengeance like the Earth? Is he suggesting like the Earth is throwing things on the moon on purpose because it's angry or mad or whatever? Or is it a punishment, like something like the moon did something wrong and the Earth or whatever is punishing it? You did something wrong, so we're going to punish you with craters. Or is it something, there's other ways to interpret it, but that's kind of what I'm going with right now. All right, so here we go. We have the last one, third question for poem 69. It says, with which stars do they go on speaking? The rivers that never reach the sea. It's kind of a little bit like the previous one. That is the one about extinct volcanoes. Thoughts of love falling into extinct volcanoes. It's almost like the thoughts of love, it sounds like unrequited, and so they never reached the person, or the person never showed a reciprocation of the love, and so it falling into an extinct volcano, it seems similar to the stars that do they go on speaking even though the river never reaches the sea? Well, really it's asking, do the rivers go on speaking even though they never reach the sea? And he's wondering with which stars they are speaking. All right, so we have thoughts of love, extinct volcanoes, craters, vengeance, punishment, the earth. The crater suggests moon too, but it could be a crater in the earth. We have stars, which makes sense if the crater's with the earth, he's moving out into the space. We got stars, rivers, and then back to the sea and the ocean. So I'm hoping maybe you can, with these three questions, pluck out the images and once again see what he is actually trying to say, or what he's actually trying to question by these three seemingly disparate questions, but I think there is a common thread. And so, in order to help you find the common thread for yourself, I will read through all three of these questions one more time and bid you adieu. Here we go. Do thoughts of love fall into extinct volcanoes? Is a crater an act of vengeance or a punishment of the earth? With which stars do they go on speaking? The rivers that never reach the sea. There we are. Tomorrow, Hallmark Day, getting to poem 70. 70. That's tomorrow. Well, thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and that you continue to ask your questions and continue to not worry too much about the answers. Just, as Rilke says, just live the questions and let them arise. Let answers arise organically, in a way, and they will come or they won't. But never fret about it, is Rilke's idea. Or, of course, if you're really into it, you can try to answer the questions and have fun with them. But I think Rilke's idea is there's no need to stress yourself out over these cosmic, unanswerable questions. But what we can do is enjoy the beautiful, creative, surreal, childlike questions of Pablo Neruda. And I hope today you have a chance to enjoy that childlike joy of questioning things. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow.